The fall of 1864, amidst the turmoil of the Civil War, one individual was on the brink of transforming history. General William Tecumseh Sherman, a controversial figure, readied himself to launch a campaign that would reverberate throughout the southern states. With Atlanta in ruins behind him, Sherman rallied his 62,000 soldiers and embarked on a perilous expedition, a march that would penetrate the very core of the Confederacy. His goal? To make Georgia resonate with despair. But what does this truly signify? For Sherman, it represented more than just a military aim. It was a proclamation of total warfare against an adversary deeply entrenched in its resistance. As he progressed toward Savannah, Sherman aimed not only to destroy railroads and incinerate crops, but also to break the resolve of a populace that believed they could withstand anything. This documentary explores the hidden realities behind Sherman's notorious March to the Sea, a journey characterized by devastation, liberation, and ethical dilemmas. What motivated this relentless general? What were the repercussions of his scorched earth strategies? And how did this campaign reshape American society? Join us as we peel back the layers of strategy and humanity woven into this crucial historical moment, one that continues to echo in our shared consciousness. Brace yourself for a compelling narrative of bravery and destruction where every decision bears significance and each step unfolds a narrative. Before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to support our community. It is now November 1864, and the American Civil War has entered its fourth year with no resolution in sight. Union General William Tecumseh Sherman stands at a critical juncture in history. After enduring a grueling siege, Sherman has taken control of Atlanta, a vital stronghold for the Confederacy. This victory arrives just in time for President Abraham Lincoln, who is in dire need of success as the November elections approach. While Lincoln revels in this triumph, Sherman reflects on his next move, one that will alter the trajectory of the war and leave an indelible impact on the South. Sherman's mission is straightforward. He intends to march from Atlanta to Savannah, effectively splitting Georgia and crippling Confederate military capacity. His strategy is bold. He plans to wage total war not only against enemy combatants, but against the very essence of Southern society, as he famously declared, "I can make Georgia howl." This statement encapsulates his desire to bring the conflict home to Southern civilians by targeting essential infrastructure and resources that support the Confederate forces. The backdrop for this operation is a nation torn apart, where brother fights against brother. The Union Army is fatigued from years of relentless conflict, yet their spirits are lifted by recent successes. However, Sherman recognizes that mere military victories will not suffice. He must crush the South's determination to fight by illustrating the true toll of war. His approach signifies a radical shift from conventional warfare, one that aims not just to defeat an enemy army, but to dismantle its entire societal framework. After securing Atlanta, Sherman informs Lincoln and General Ulysses S. Grant of his plans. He proposes an audacious strategy. Until we can repopulate Georgia, it is useless to occupy it. However, complete destruction of its roads, homes, and people will cripple their military resources. Grant quickly endorses this plan on November 2nd with a simple reply, "Go as you propose." This approval signifies a transformation in Union strategy towards more aggressive tactics designed to undermine Southern morale. On November 15th, Sherman's army begins its march with 62,000 troops. They depart from a city engulfed in flames after devastating Atlanta's industrial capabilities while sparing only churches and private residences. This destruction serves as both a tactical maneuver and a psychological weapon against the Confederacy. Sherman's method represents one of the earliest instances of total war in modern military history, a strategy aimed not merely at defeating an enemy force, but at dismantling its entire societal framework. In preparation for this campaign, Sherman meticulously organizes every aspect. He divides his forces into two wings under Major Generals Oliver O. Howard and Henry Slocum. Each wing will march approximately 30 miles apart to maximize coverage while ensuring communication and support. This strategic division creates confusion among Confederate troops while amplifying their impact on Georgia's infrastructure. As Sherman's soldiers embark on their fateful expedition, they are filled with determination, tempered by apprehension. They understand that their mission is unprecedented. They are not simply advancing towards an enemy position, but are tasked with sowing chaos across an entire state. Their goal extends beyond reaching Savannah. They must also forage for supplies along their route. With supply lines severed, they depend on Georgia's rural resources. Although Sherman instructs his men to refrain from unnecessary looting of civilian homes, many soldiers view this as an opportunity for plunder. Foraging units are dispatched to collect food from affluent residents. However, what begins as requisitioning often devolves into ransacking homes for valuables, jewelry, clothing, anything that could be sold or flaunted. The actions of these soldiers reflect a blend of desperation and a thirst for retribution against those they perceive as adversaries. As they traverse Georgia's scenic landscapes, its rolling hills and cotton fields, the harsh realities of war become evident. Union soldiers encountered terrified civilians caught in the turmoil of Sherman's brutal campaign. Many families fled their homes at the sight of advancing troops, fearing for their lives and livelihoods. The march was arduous. Soldiers faced harsh weather conditions, from rain-soaked days to bitterly cold nights, and endured physical exhaustion as they trekked through muddy roads and treacherous terrain littered with remnants of war. Despite these challenges, morale among Sherman's men remained relatively high as they believed in their mission's purpose, to bring an end to the devastating conflict. Over the next 37 days, Sherman's march became synonymous with destruction. Railroads were dismantled, farms were plundered, and homes were set ablaze. While civilian casualties were relatively low, thanks largely to Sherman's orders against harming non-combatants, the psychological trauma inflicted on Southern civilians was profound. Sherman's strategy was explicit. By making war so unbearable, he aimed to break the will of Southern civilians to resist, hoping to hasten an end to the conflict. He rationalized this approach as a necessary means to save lives in the long run by crippling Confederate resources and morale. As Sherman advanced through Georgia, he faced minimal resistance. Confederate forces were stretched thin. Joseph Wheeler's cavalry attempted to harass Sherman's flanks, but proved ineffective against the overwhelming size of Union forces. The Battle of Griswoldville illustrated this disparity, with Georgia militia suffering 10 times the casualties of Union soldiers. Despite their overwhelming odds, some Confederate defenders attempted to resist Sherman's advance, but had limited success. The impact of Sherman's march extended beyond physical destruction. It also had significant psychological effects on Southern communities. Families that once held strong loyalties to the Confederacy began questioning their commitment as they witnessed firsthand the devastation wrought by Union forces. The fear instilled by Sherman's tactics served as a powerful deterrent against further resistance. However, a dark chapter emerged during this campaign: the abandonment of fugitive slaves at Ebenezer Creek. As Union forces prepared to cross a pontoon bridge on December 9th, Brigadier General Jefferson C. Davis ordered that only Union soldiers be allowed passage. When freedmen attempted to cross, they were left stranded as Davis cut the bridge loose. The sight of desperate men and women trying to swim across icy waters haunted Sherman's campaign. Many were captured or killed by Confederate cavalry waiting on the other side. This incident sparked outrage among some Union soldiers and became a stain on Sherman's legacy, raising questions about compassion amidst warfare. While Sherman's men liberated thousands of enslaved individuals during their march, estimates suggest between 17,000 and 25,000 racial attitudes among Union soldiers complicated these interactions. Freedmen often faced disrespect and threats from soldiers who viewed them as burdens rather than allies. Many freed slaves sought refuge with Sherman's army from their former captors. However, accommodating such large numbers became increasingly challenging for Union officers amid ongoing military operations. Defenders of General William Tecumseh Sherman argue that his march through Georgia was a legitimate military strategy aimed at hastening the end of a brutal conflict more effectively than conventional warfare could achieve. The legacy of Sherman's march to the sea continues to evoke strong emotions across America, particularly in Southern communities still grappling with its historical implications over 150 years later. The narratives surrounding heroism versus villainy clash persistently within public discourse, making Sherman a polarizing figure in American history. Was his march justified as a means to end the conflict? Or was it an exercise in cruelty that inflicted unnecessary suffering on civilians? Reflecting on Sherman's actions prompts us to grapple with these questions, acknowledging both the strategic success of his campaign and its profound human cost. The lessons learned from this chapter in history resonate today as we confront issues surrounding warfare, morality, justice, and accountability in our society. Sherman's actions have ignited discussions about ethics in warfare that persist into modern times, reminding us that history often comprises complex, multifaceted narratives shaped by various perspectives and interpretations over time. These complexities challenge simplistic views of good versus evil in past, present, and future conflicts. Whether viewed through the lenses of heroism or villainy, one thing remains clear: Sherman's march not only transformed Georgia, but also reshaped our understanding of warfare itself forever.